Good evening to you all, and to all the dignitaries and elders in the room, Shikamo. I'm really honored to be in your presence tonight, and I'm grateful to the organizers of the festival for making this poetry presentation a reality. I'm also grateful to my sister, Jane Okot Bitek Langoya, for representing the Okot Bitek family in presenting the prize, and to my fellow judge, Duduzile Mabaso. Thank you. Thank you to all the poets who submitted the work and for whom we're gathered here tonight. And of course, there's no gathering without people, so thank you all for coming out tonight. My name is Juliane Bitek, and I send you many, many, many greetings from Vancouver, Canada, which feels like a long, long way away, but my heart is with you. I'm also a poet, and I've had the honor of having my own 100 Days launched at Writivism today. As a poet and the daughter of Okot Bitek, it's a very particular position I occupy. And so, as we commemorate 50 years of Song of Lawino, we must make the connection between the role of poetry when it was written and how or if it has changed today, and the extent to which poetry functions as a microphone for social ills, celebrations, or hauntings. Harriet Anena's A Nation in Labor is an example of the work that bookends the intention behind Song of Lawino, which was and is to tell it as it is. When Okot Bitek translated his Way Palawino into English, he spoke about the challenges of translation and how the process was a clipping of wings. English, with its many words, cannot often find the hurt or the expression English, with its many words, cannot often find the heart or expression we have in our own languages. And so when Way Palawino was translated into English, Chinese, French, Russian, Spanish, Swahili, Luganda, Swedish, and many other languages, we have to admit that even though the wings were clipped, the magic translated and continues to inspire dialogue and stimulate intellectual debate. But more than good translation, Way Palawino and Song of Lawino, both by Okot Bitek, are works of excellence. Lawino's strong voice and eloquence are a reflection of our dad's skill, talent, daring, and ultimately his keen ear and awareness to what was happening on the ground. It speaks of his connectedness with his home, his country, the politics, and the effects of colonial and post-colonial governments on rural Africans. Despite his spectacular educational achievements, our dad was not the caricature of Ochoa. If he was, there's no way that Lawino's voice would have been so real, so powerful, so explosive as to find its way into our everyday language. We all know who we are talking about when we refer to someone as Lawino. And this is also true for Ochoa. Okot Bitek is a kind of poet who would have been exiled for his poetry, and indeed he was. These poems could not be contained in the country of the sublime or in the space of the song school that he invented. Our dad's writing was always political, always socially aware, always biting, honest, real. Today we speak and write and think about social justice. Over 50 years ago, Okot Bitek was already showing it to us, showing us that the personal was political, the political was personal, and the decisions made by our leaders have direct repercussions in our everyday lives. The real Ugandan, the ordinary African, is not fooled. We know, we understand, and even though not all of us sit in the halls of power or the universities or among the luminaries of society, we know. In translation, which is where this poetry prize finds its sweet spot, we were inundated by many brilliant poems. We worked through them, Duduzile and I, and we missed the company of another judge, Tony Stewart, who wanted to be with us but could not. Still, we send out a shout out to her for her willingness to engage with the poems submitted for this competition. Duduzile and I talked about how the three finalists were each good enough to be the winning poet. Benga Adesina, Neobelisa Okudili, and Redska Koyuga are not just very good poets, but each of them is brilliant. Each of them engages with poetry in their regular lives and at high level, not heh. Redska has been published severally, including in Border Border Anthems, a Kampala anthology, in which we share a literary home. Benga is a joint winner of the 2015 Brunei Prize for African Poetry, and Neobelisa for the 2016 Silberman Poetry Prize. These three are the great poets, not just good ones. Great because others have also seen their brilliance, and brilliant because their writing marks the page and also marks us, the readers. They are sublime writers, each for different reasons. Duduzile and I talked about why we chose these poets as the finalists and how their work exemplifies the spirit of Okot Bitek's Song of Laweno, prize in translation. We spoke about the aesthetics, rhythm, cadence, orality, visual appeal, craft, imagery, rhyme, and consistency of style. We discussed how closely these were songs, even though we never discussed how closely these were songs, even though they were lyrical and in many ways. We never discussed how closely these were songs, or even if they were lyrical, or in any way similar to Okot Bitek's work. We missed the access to the languages we don't understand and hope that there will be goodwill to these works read and listened to in their African languages. We also talked about how each poet took us on a journey. How Neobelisa's poem, for example, is not just about discovery. Listen. Finding his body. After the explosion, all we saw of him was his helmet and the monocular strapped to it. An hour passed before one of us found an eyeball, then another, his feet, both 20 meters from the scene. I feared what I might find would be his gut, like a snake that refused to die, in his hole. But what I saw was his elegant hand, under an inch-deep rubble, hands that had touched me once, and I thought my wife had traveled from Nigeria to come and see me. And this from Gbenga and his captivating use of words. Soft song. Child, night rivers through your eyes. I fall into this river, fall into this rain. I take your loam, the soft in it. I cross the sea into where you are night swells. There is a city in me, the pillar of which I love of a child. I reach into this dream, lay hold of a new language. I touch my tongue to your name and become light. A name in a song, or a song in a name. How words become boats that ocean you to us. How my body is memory of your eyes. The reflowering of rain, a private echo of history, tender. I love you so. How does this not remind you of the late great Palestinian poet Mahmoud Darwish in his terribly haunting lyricism? And this from Red Scar. Ambulance. It is the right place and time to tell a story. The pace is just right. The idiosyncratic night lit with the neons of life, the scent suffused with the anxiety of death. Just right. The creaking bridge across childhood rivers never looked so arrogant, and the water blue, and the paranoid, the metal beams so stern. Never. The streetlights flash past on kangaroo legs. The mist outside is a thin veil across the body and mind. I am weightless, sorrowless, and alien. That's what an ambulance demands. No agonizing. No, just the ebb and the tide of blue roads, the rhythm of the night, the songs we never shed, floating out, just that. An ambulance is a song not everyone can sing. The journey is all. Forgive my imperfect renderings of these poems. Duduzile and I thought about the role of a poet in society today. We agreed that the winning poet, like Okot Bitek, would have his or her ear to the ground and tell us what we are talking about, what we are thinking about. Listen. Of paradoxes and queer orientations. For Francine J. Harris, as inspired by her poetry. When it's games time and we are playing, would you rather serious? I mean, like asking a skinny chick, would you rather be fat or raped? And it's queer sister's turn and she says, so, like, would you rather be gay in Africa? And look how the audience already cowers. Or gay in America. And this is how it goes with most dumb straights, isn't it? They laugh at what to them are her inadequacies, like it's their swagger, like it's classy, and hear what they say, stupid cackles oozing, lips dripping shit, wild noses hang on air, and you'll think they're fastened along some heterosexual cisgender clothesline, right? She's a recipe for nausea, and everyone's like, oh, Jesus. And she goes, well, I mean, cause, like, if you're gay in Africa, it's everyone's problem. And if you're gay in America, then it's only your problem. And how the audience reacts, which they do, react because she adds, well, I mean, you can only choose one. Perhaps the problem is my continent. There's no shying away from this conversation. We've heard it. It rings true. It's a global conversation, and we Africans are part and parcels of it. The winning poet is also a visual poet. His poetry on the page incorporates Arabic script and phonetics, for example. He has a keen eye for observing the politics of the ground, how hair is politicized, how our most effective soldiers must not recognize our humanity. We decided that there could not be a second or third winner. There would be a first that edged through because of the spirit of his poems and most reflected the intention of Song of Lawino to remain engaged with the society around us. I bet our dad would laugh at our efforts today. He'd scoff at this prize because he would be so contrary. He'd wonder why we're not just doing our own thing. And I'd tell him, we're not all like you. We need the recognition of our peers. And perhaps he'd smile. Perhaps we'd agree that there is no point deferring our dreams to an inconsequential future. We must celebrate you. The runner-ups are equally powerful writers who are well on their way to wider and more universal recognition. Benga Nebeolisa, we salute you. You are our dream. Perhaps our dad would lift a glass and toast you all, as I do. Redska, Koyuga, Nyathiwa, congratulations. Thank you very much. Have a great night.